Hi, I'm Mark Toole with 8020service.com, and today's customer service video question of the day comes from Quora, and the question is, why are telephone customer service representatives taught not to hang up a phone call until the customer hangs up first? Okay, so first of all, we'll take for granted in this case that they are taught that. I'm sure a lot of them are operating under that sort of rule, along with other rules. You don't hang up the phone unless the customer hangs up the phone, and obviously it's not that way for every business, every customer service department, every call center, whatever you want to call it. But it's probably pretty common since somebody's asking this, and I have heard this before. Years ago when I worked at one of these businesses, they had a similar rule, so we'll go with that. We'll assume that this rule's in place in a customer service call center environment and talk about why that would be. First of all, the fact that they would have a rule like this tells me a lot about the business, about the company, about the customer service environment, and how it's being run. Unfortunately, these are not usually good things that it tells me. So the reason, we'll get straight into the reason here. Why are they told not to hang up the phone until the customer hangs up the phone? Because they are NPCs. I'll put a link in here to my article about NPCs if you're not familiar with that term. It's something I talk about a lot here, but basically they're not allowed to think. They have procedures, they have scripts. Read procedures, follow the steps, read the script it tells you to read, period. That is your job. Thinking is not a part of your job. Thinking will only get you in trouble. So normally, if someone's having a phone conversation, if you and I are having a phone call, and at some point that call comes to an end, and what do we do at the end of a phone call? We hang up the phone. But that requires a thought. It requires a decision. It requires one or both of us to realize, okay, this conversation is over. We've said goodbye. We've said whatever we're going to say. Now let's put the phone down and do something else. It's a thought. And these companies, of course, do not want these people to make decisions because they could make the wrong decision. They could hang up on a customer when the customer's swearing at them and tell them that their mother fucks donkeys and screaming about all this other shit and, yelling racial slurs or telling them their preferred political candidate is actually somewhat of a sociopath and not really acting in their best interest or whatever. These are all things that happen. Whatever reason, this person could say something that upsets the customer service representative, and if they're allowed to think, they might hang up. They say, oh, well, this person's not asking for any real help with anything, I'll hang up the phone. And in the real world, that'd be quite reasonable. If you and I were doing business and you started screaming at me about my mother and socialism and whatever other bullshit, I would certainly hang up on you because I have no need to do business with lunatics, and that's not a business conversation. But these people can't make that decision. They're not allowed to. So you could then you have the problem from the perspective of these managers, of these programmers, we'll call them, the people who write the scripts, the people who write the procedures, the people who sit in a conference room somewhere with their khaki pants, checking their watches, waiting for the next cigarette break, trying to decide how customer service should run. And their thoughts are, no decision shall be made. They'll all be listed in this procedures guide. If this, do that. If this, do that. If this, read this script. And that's it. So then they have the trouble of thinking, how do we write the procedures for when a call center agent is allowed to hang up on a customer or when they should hang up on a customer? How do you know? This is the problem that people have with computer programming as well. It's very easy for me to tell you what I want the computer to do, but somebody actually sitting down and programming the computer to do that thing in individual logical steps that if you leave something out it'll break is much more difficult. And that's what they're doing here. They're programming these customer service agents, they're programming these NPCs, and the programming can get difficult. So, in this case, rather than write a detailed program of when to hang up the phone when a conversation is over, they simply tell them, all right, forget it. You don't hang up the phone. You're not allowed to hang up the phone. We have a computer system that tracks to see if you hung up the phone or if they hung up the phone. And if you hang up the phone, we'll punish you. Yes, they'll throw in a few caveats, like if it's just dead air, they have to wait 5 minutes and read, and of course they have to read a script. Hello there, sir. I remember this from I used to work in one of these things years ago, and it was something to the effect of, hello, if you are there, I cannot hear you, and if you can hear me, you should call us back at our phone number. And then you wait a little bit, and then you repeat the message again, and it's stupid and robotic. There's things like that. There's things that if someone's threatening you, some of these places will let you give them several warnings and then hang up on them, and then they call back and threaten somebody else. But they put these exceptions in there, but for the most part, they make it easy on themselves, the programmers, and say, just, you don't hang up the phone. You stay on the phone until they hang up the phone. And yes, this results in weirdness and bullshit, and the conversation's clearly over, and they'll have them ask something like, what else can I help you with? Nothing, I'm good. Okay, what else can I help you with? Nothing, I'm good. Okay, what else can I help you with? Because if they don't do that, they'll be punished. And then the customer just goes, you fucking idiot, and throws his phone down on the bed and walks away, because he didn't think to hang up the phone. Then you got to sit there. Hello, sir. If you can hear me, I cannot hear you. And sometimes it's worse. The guy comes back over and says, hey, what do you want? Why are you still here? So that's the reason. That's the real reason, is that these people are NPCs and they're not trusted to make a decision, including a decision as simple as, is this conversation over? Should I hang up the damn phone? Now, obviously you can tell by the way I'm speaking about this stuff, this is not an approach to customer service that I'm in favor of. It's not what I recommend you do. I don't think it works very well, and I've clearly demonstrated here why it doesn't work very well. Not just simply the rules about hanging up phones. That's a symptom. That's not the problem. The problem is this entire NPC customer service model, the top-down, standardized, centralized bureaucracy of the last century that many of these businesses are still operating on. The idea that one person or a group of people can just write out a customer service procedure, put it in the hands of dumb idiots, monkeys, $7 an hour people, advanced AI when it gets developed, and just tell it, follow these rules, don't think. If you think, you'll be beaten. The idea that this would work, that this would be a good way to do customer service, there are people who think this. It's an antiquated and it's a broken idea, and it doesn't work. That's why I do these videos. That's why I write about this stuff on Quora and on my website, depending if you're watching here on Quora or YouTube. I post these videos to both. I write about this stuff on Quora in response to questions, and also on my website, 8020service.com. I've also put together a guide there to help people get this stuff right, which you can also find on the website. But that's not really the point. The point is, businesses that have rules like this have them because they have a lot of other, even sillier rules. They try to centralize and control everything top down, and we know from Taleb and various others how well that works, and also just from experience in history. So take a better approach, do things more intelligently, keep it simple, prevent problems before they happen, decentralize, and ditch the stupid can't hang up the phone rules. In fact, you could probably ditch the call center altogether. That's what I talk about, but I'm not going to go into all the details here in this video. I'll wrap this up. 8020service.com if you want to see more. But as always, if you like this, like, upvote, thumbs up, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. I do one of these videos every weekday on a customer service topic, like I said, so I'll be back tomorrow with another video.